start with questions, please.
Could you give us a status on Pierce?
Just that he's, he ran around a little bit today, but he's no contact, and as it sits today, we're not going to count on him for the game. He's doubtful, and we're preparing to move on as if he's not going to be there.
That was a shoulder, right?
Shoulder, neck.
I'm looking at Toledo's offense. I mean, they've put up some prolific numbers, but they've also, against certain teams, like Ohio State, against Purdue, the running game was pretty well contained. What do they do? Play to the weakness of the defense?
No, I don't think that's the case at all. I think
at least not against those two teams, but against some of the MAC teams.
Yeah, number one, they are a prolific offense, and I think the strength of their offense is not just the wide receivers, but the quarterback and his decision making, his leadership, his courage, but then also they have Collins as a running back. All of those guys are veterans, except the young receiver Page, who plays like a veteran. But all those guys have been, all MAC type players, and they're certainly playing like it. And they have a big physical offensive line. The fact that they didn't perform well against Ohio State is, I'm sure, disappointing to them. But nothing to be embarrassed about for sure, because they're holding a lot of teams to very few points, including SC. So, but it is probably the best offense we've seen all year. I mean, they're top 10 in every category. They can throw the ball all over the yard, and they have big play performers. So they definitely have our attention.
If you were hedging a bet, though, would you expect them to try to, if Opel plays and he supposedly is maybe dinged a little bit, but I mean, would you expect him to come out and try to go more passing the ball than running? Or
More passing than running?
Yeah,
I think that
against
means.
you,
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you're ninth in the NCAA in passing, you pass. I mean, it's midway through the year, and they're over 300 yards a game passing, which is right around what we are per game total. So they're 450 yards.
Special teams won the game for them last year.
Correct. They blocked an extra point and blocked a field goal. Yeah. So, and I think most importantly about that was the fact that one of their veterans stepped up when it was money time. Barry Church blocked the game-winning field goal. And that's what we need our guys to do. We need our seniors and our veterans who've been around to play their best football right now, because the first half of the season is obviously over for us, and every game's important now.
Now, does that concern you at all? Because granted, Brandon's just a freshman, but a couple of his kicks he's tried to, I know you talked about telling him just swing through like you normally do, but a couple of his kicks have gone really low. Is that something you addressed with him this week to say this is an aggressive group that gets after him?
No, I'm glad what we did with Brandon. We tried to kind of push his threshold a little bit and push his limits to see where his range was, and I'm very comfortable with him right now. We had it was a bad day to kick the ball on Saturday for both teams, and the surface wasn't great, and it was raining, and we had about a 20-mile-an-hour wind, but I'm happy with him. He's got poise. And we'll see what the weather's going to be like on Saturday. I don't know yet, but I think Brandon will be fine, especially when Sean Boyle's fine. Sean Boyle's healthy now. The one that got blocked, it was Pat Boyle that was in the game, not Sean. So when Sean's healthy, we're a pretty good snapping team.
You talked about getting some of the guys like Lamar and Pierre Griffin to run harder, just in general, and especially now in potentially in Bernard's absence. Maybe this is more of a technical thing. How do you get guys to do that? Is it just specifically telling them, or like specific ways you coach them to do that, or recapture Pierre Griffin's form like that last year?
Yeah, well, let's just take them one by one. Number one, Lamar did run the ball very hard against Buffalo. Then he got hurt, and he missed basically the next two games since then, and did very little for us in this last game. So he's been banged up. All right, so hopefully we'll get him healthy and get him going in the right direction. Kier has practiced very seldom with the elements that he has. So in general, our running back situation is not good right now, to say the least. So we have to continue to work those guys, and we'll get Joey Jones some reps there as well. So we do have at least 3 at the game, and hopefully Key can recapture the way he ran against Miami, Ohio last year, and Central Michigan and Navy. in Ohio University because he really ran well, he cut well, and he finished runs. And he's not doing that right now, and he knows that. And we'll work hard to get him right.
You said part of it's just been because he's been a little dinged up.
He's been very dinged up. You know, he's been basically he's missed a lot of practice. You know, he's been banged up for about 3 weeks now.
Does that put more pressure on Carlson to come out because of his absence to make it to start adapting to throw more?
No, I mean, look, it is what it is. I mean, it's college football, and at this time of year, you're having injuries, and the teams that have guys that are prepared to be a starter and that can step up and play are the teams that move on. You know, and those are the teams that deserve victory, and those are the teams that can take the next step. So that's the challenge for us right now, not just at that spot, but other spots too. You know, because you get guys injured at this stage of the season, and you know, you hope and pray that it doesn't happen, but it does happen, and it happened to us Saturday. And you could make the case that some guys weren't ready for their opportunity on Saturday and didn't prepare, as we like to say here, prepare to be a starter. Next man in mentality is what we teach. So I don't think there's pressure on anybody else. As long as they're preparing, there's no pressure. Pressure is for those that are unprepared.
Your defense is back, at least statistically, to where it was a couple years ago, where they're the top unit in the conference in total defense. When I think back to that defense a couple of years ago, the one that you have now, I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but is the biggest difference with this group that this may be more of a playmaking defense, whereas maybe a couple of years ago you were more of maybe a bend but don't break. Do you have more playmakers now that you're taking away the ball more, creating more big plays?
I would say it's the opposite. We have more of a team orientation right now. We got rid of some of the missing links, you know, some of the weak links from that unit, guys that we thought were holding us back. And we made the change stronger, to be quite honest, because we had to move on, and we have everybody with one heartbeat right now on defense. The room is good. When your room is good, you can teach. When everybody's bought into the program and on the same page, you can do more. And our kids can really handle a lot of volume right now as a defense, not just in assignments, but in technique, which allows us to adapt because we have to adapt here. We have to adapt from Ball State to Army, you know, to this operation, which is a prolific offense, and then back to Navy, and then finish with 4 MAC East games. So we have a lot of things that we have to adapt to here, but it's a better defense than 2 years ago, primarily because we had 5 turnovers in the first game. We had a couple of bad snaps, and of course the block kick that went back 40 yards the other way. So we put them in a lot of bad positions, and I think they've done a good job of you know, flipping the switch, as we say, and staying focused and just playing the next down. So I think it's a better group overall, just because it's more mature. The guys are all on the same page.
Is that where creating the turnovers comes from? Like, you know, like guys like Dominic and Jared are getting more, in terms of more pass breakups, more interceptions. A guy like Adrian Robinson steps in right now. He's tied with Mac Lee and South. You've had no drop off there. Is it more? Is that comfort and that maturity cup? Does that lead to more turnovers being created?
I think the maturity and the poise leads to that because when you're young, as we were, you know, baptism of fire for us for the last couple of years. But for our guys now, it's not about what do I line up, what do I line up, what am I keying, what am I keying, what do I do if they do this. It's about playing, and a lot of the credit goes to the defensive staff. They've done a tremendous job of bringing those guys along. But a lot of guys now are performing. They're not just trying to get their assignment correct. They're trying to execute their job, and then with that becomes, you know, the takeaways and the interceptions and those types of things. So hopefully that will continue. We need it to continue, to be quite honest.